Hello, and welcome to Easy English Podcast. My name is Maya, and I'm truly happy to have you here with me today. Before we begin, I want to thank you for choosing to listen to this podcast. It means a lot. If you enjoy this story and find it helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll never miss a chance to grow your English fluency with me. Now, let's dive into today's journey together. Improving fluency in English is not only about speaking fast. It's not about knowing every grammar rule or having the biggest vocabulary. Fluency is about connection. It's about comfort. It's about feeling at ease when you think, speak, or listen in English. And for me, that realization changed everything. I used to think that to be fluent, I had to be perfect. That every sentence had to be grammatically correct, every word had to be impressive, and every conversation had to flow like water. But that pressure made me freeze. My mind would go blank whenever I tried to speak, even if I had the words. It wasn't until I discovered one powerful habit, one simple practice, that things began to change. That habit was listening. Deep, slow, intentional listening. At first, it didn't seem very important. I thought, listening? How can just listening make me fluent? But I was wrong. Listening opened the door to fluency in a way nothing else did. I began listening every day, not just music or random videos. I started listening to slow, meaningful English, stories, reflections, simple conversations. And I didn't rush. I listened slowly, allowing each word to settle into my mind. I focused on the rhythm of the language, the tone, the pauses, the way ideas flowed. And the more I listened, the more I noticed something beautiful. The language started living inside me. I no longer needed to memorize phrases. They came to me naturally. I didn't worry so much about grammar. I began speaking with more confidence, more calm. I wasn't fluent because I knew more words. I was fluent because I had heard them so many times in real situations that they became a part of me. Let me tell you about a typical day in my listening practice. I would wake up, make a cup of tea, and sit by the window. I'd play a slow English podcast, sometimes a story, sometimes a reflection like this one. I didn't try to understand every word. I just listened. I allowed the sounds to wash over me like soft rain. If I didn't understand something, I didn't panic. I knew that over time my brain would catch up. After a few weeks, I realized something strange. I started thinking in English. Not all the time, but more than before. I would describe things around me in English without forcing it. I would talk to myself in English while walking or cooking. It felt natural, almost effortless. And this is where fluency begins. Not in a test, not in a textbook, but in your daily life, in the quiet moments, in the stories you hear. I want to encourage you, wherever you are in your journey, to slow down, to listen, not once, not for a day or two, but every day. Make it part of your life. Choose content that matches your level. Something not too hard, not too easy. Something that feels like a soft challenge. And don't worry if you repeat the same episode 5 times. That's not failure. That's learning. Language is not only about rules, it's about feeling. The more you feel the language, the more naturally it will flow from you. The more you listen, the more confident you'll become. You don't need to rush to speak. First, let the language speak to you. That's what I learned. And that's what changed everything. Now let's continue into the next section of this story, where I'll go even deeper into how listening shaped not just my English, but the way I live my life. I remember one evening in particular. It was raining outside, soft and steady. I had my headphones on, listening to a podcast just like this one. The speaker was telling a story, not dramatic or exciting, just a simple story about a walk through a small village. As I listened, I found myself completely absorbed. I was not translating in my head. I was simply understanding. And when the story ended, I realized I had been thinking in English the whole time. That night, something changed. I stopped chasing fluency like it was a goal to be conquered. I started living it. That's the beauty of slow listening. It allows language to enter your heart, not just your mind. It's gentle, it's peaceful, and it works. Now, I want to be honest with you. There were days I didn't feel progress, days I felt stuck, days I questioned if listening was really enough. But I kept going. I kept listening. Slowly, every day. And the results came. Not quickly, but deeply. My understanding became clearer. My vocabulary grew without effort. And most importantly, my fear disappeared. I could speak without worrying about mistakes. I could join conversations without feeling small. Because I wasn't just learning English, I was living it. One of the best parts of this journey was discovering that fluency is personal. It looks different for each person. For me, fluency meant being able to express my thoughts clearly and calmly. It meant being able to understand others without stress. It meant being able to enjoy a story in English without needing a dictionary. So, what does fluency mean for you? Maybe it means passing an exam. Maybe it means talking to friends confidently. Maybe it means watching movies without subtitles. Whatever your goal, I want you to know that it's possible. Not by doing more, but by doing less. Slowly and consistently. Here's something I started doing that helped a lot. I created a small listening corner in my room. Just a chair, a notebook, and my favorite headphones. Every evening, I would sit there, press play on an English story or podcast, and just listen. I made it a ritual, a habit, a gift to myself. Some days I would write down new words. Some days I would close my eyes and imagine the scenes in the story. But most days, I just listened. I allowed my brain to absorb the language like a sponge absorbs water. The secret is repetition. The more you hear something, the more it becomes part of your natural expression. Have you ever noticed how children learn language? They don't study grammar. They hear, repeat, and use. Over and over. That's how we all learned our first language. And that's how we can learn a second one too. There's a kind of magic that happens when you trust the process. When you stop rushing. When you allow English to be a companion, not a chore. And that's what I hope for you. I hope you start seeing English not as something you have to learn, but something you get to live with, explore, and enjoy. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to speak fast. You just need to keep going. Every minute you spend listening brings you closer to fluency. Every story you hear, every voice you follow becomes part of your English soul. As I sat in my listening corner one night, I smiled to myself. I realized I wasn't afraid of English anymore. I wasn't trying to be someone else when I spoke. I was just me, Maya, speaking slowly, speaking honestly, speaking freely. And that is fluency. But how do we stay there? How do we make sure that this level of fluency doesn't fade away, that it becomes a part of who we are, not just something we reach and then lose again? The answer lies in one word: consistency. Fluency is not a destination. It's a lifestyle. It's not something you achieve and then move on from. It's something you live with, like a second skin, like a rhythm that plays in the background of your day, softly, constantly. I used to think I had to be perfect, that I had to speak without mistakes, without pauses, without fear. But fluency isn't perfection. It's flow. It's confidence. It's being okay with not knowing everything and still moving forward. Every day, I do a few simple things to keep my English alive, and you can do them too. First, I listen. I listen more than I speak. I listen to slow English podcasts, to audiobooks, to people having real conversations, not always to learn new words. Sometimes I just listen to feel the rhythm of the language, to hear how thoughts connect, how pauses happen, how emotions are carried in the voice. That kind of listening is powerful. It goes deeper than vocabulary. It touches your instinct. Second, I think in English. Not all day, but a few moments at a time. When I'm making tea, I say to myself, I'm boiling water. I'll add a little sugar today. Maybe some lemon, too. These small thoughts, spoken silently in your mind, build a habit. And that habit builds fluency. Third, I speak. Even when I'm alone. Even if it's just repeating what I heard in a podcast. Even if it's just reading out loud. Speaking activates a different part of the brain. It trains your mouth, your memory, your voice. You don't need someone to talk to. You just need your own voice. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect time is now. Fourth, I keep a small journal. Nothing fancy. Just a few lines at the end of the day. I write in English about my day, my thoughts, or something I've learned. Writing helps me organize my thoughts. It slows me down. It connects what I feel with what I can say. And most importantly, I am kind to myself. I forgive myself when I forget words. I smile when I make mistakes, because I know that every mistake means I tried. And every time I try, I grow. Fluency is not about speed. It's about comfort. And comfort comes with time. There were days when I wanted to give up, when I thought, maybe English is just not for me. But then I remembered the small moments. The first time I understood a whole podcast without stopping. The first time I had a real conversation with someone from another country. The first time I watched a movie without subtitles and laughed at the right moments. Those little wins, they matter. They are signs that you're on the right path. Now, let's talk about listening again, because I believe listening is not just important, it's everything. When you listen, you train your brain to think in English. You absorb the structure of the language naturally. You hear how sentences are built, how emotions are expressed, how questions are asked. You learn grammar without needing to study rules. Listening is how babies learn. It's how we all learned our first language. And it's still the most powerful way to learn. But not just any listening. Slow listening. Deep listening. That's why I love slow English podcasts. They're not rushed. They give you time to breathe, to follow, to reflect. They match the pace of your mind. And when the language matches your pace, something beautiful happens. You understand. You feel calm. You connect. So, if you want to become fluent, make listening your daily habit. Choose content you enjoy. Stories, interviews, personal reflections. Anything that holds your interest. Because motivation comes from joy, not pressure. I remember a time when I listened to the same story for 10 days. Every day, I noticed something new. A phrase, a tone, a new way of expressing a simple idea. And each day, that story became a part of me. It's still with me now. That's the magic of repetition. That's the magic of listening. Also, don't be afraid to listen to the same content more than once. In fact, do it often. Repetition doesn't mean you're not improving. It means you're reinforcing what you've already started to learn. Now, let me ask you something. What's stopping you? Is it fear of sounding wrong? Is it the thought that you're not ready? Or maybe you're just waiting for the right time? I'll tell you a secret. There is no right time. The right time is whenever you decide to begin. And the moment you start, you are already ahead of those who are still waiting. Start small. Speak one sentence today. Listen to one podcast. Write one line in your journal. Do it every day. That's how fluency is built. Step by step, word by word, breath by breath. Remember, fluency is not just the ability to speak English. It's the ability to live your life in English, to think, to feel, to dream in it. It's okay to go slow. Slow is strong. Slow is deep. Slow is real. You don't need to rush. You just need to continue. And I'll be here with you, every step of the way. You're not alone on this journey. Now, if this episode helped you, please consider subscribing to Easy English Podcast. Your support means the world to us. And if you know someone who's trying to improve their English, share this episode with them. Let's grow together. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm proud of you. Keep going. Keep listening. Keep learning. And most of all, keep believing in yourself. Because you can become fluent. And you will.